I was just listening to he was talking on the radio, blaming black people for slavery. And this is the argument that they use. They say, oh, the first slave owner in the United States was a black guy. And the people who sold the slaves to the Europeans were black. And they were Muslims. And they were not Christians. They were black Muslims and atheists. I mean, the audacity of these people to blame the Africans for slavery, it knows no boundaries. First of all, the reason there was the United States and the Europeans used slavery is because they didn't want to work. They wanted to get somebody else to do the work for them, and so they created the demand for this, for slavery, for enslaved Africans. And so they went to Africa and they went and offered money, offered to buy. They exploited disputes between neighboring tribes. They exploited bad blood amongst clans, amongst neighbors. Imagine this. You're a guy with money and you have a factory and you need workers, but the people in the neighborhood next door, you know that they have beef amongst each other. So you find somebody who's willing to sell you their neighbor. I say, listen, I'm going to give you $1,000, just an arbitrary number, for each one of the neighbors that you trap and give to me, because I'm going to take them to my slave labor camps so I can produce whatever it is that I'm producing. So what do you think they're going to do? You know, first of all, a lot of them they're in poverty. You're corrupting them. You're using your financial power to exploit their animosity towards each other or their problems. And on top of that, you transport these people to your factory on the other side of the continent, of the planet. You force them to worship your gods, prohibit them from being educated, prohibit them from speaking their own tongue. If they decide to escape, you cut off limbs. You rape their daughters at night and without any consequences. And then when they have kids, you sell the children out in auctions. You separate wives from husbands. But you're saying that it was the fault of the people that sold you those human beings, the people who you exploited, and whose animosity you exploited by offering them money. I mean, the audacity of these people that want to blame African people, say, oh, well, it was black people who sold the black people. Yes, they didn't have white people in Africa to sell black people. I mean, this is the stupidest argument I've ever heard. Of course there were black people. They're African. They're sub-Saharan Africans. They're all black. You know, my ancestors are all black. The ones from Africa. So then the other argument that they make is that, oh, it was black Muslims. And, you know, listen, European Christians not only were in charge of the slave trade all over the planet, but Christianity, the Catholic Church, to be more specific, is the one who controlled and supervised and gave orders on how to run the slave trade through papal bulls. Papal bulls are orders and opinions, but they carry power from the Vatican. So Christians are by far the most prolific enslavers in the history of mankind. They did it in the Americas. When they ran out of Indians or of Native Americans, my Native American ancestors, to murder and commit genocide against, they talked to their buddies and the Portuguese and the Dutch and the rest of the European Christians, and to bring them to buy slaves and build a country on the back of the slaves. But they still have the audacity to blame black people for slavery. I mean that disgusting nature of such claims. I mean, it just doesn't get any more racist than that. That is textbook definition of using Joseph Goebbels' technique of blaming the other side of that of which you are guilty. Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to point that out, how much hypocrisy and how blatantly racist and offensive and disrespectful this right-wing, evangelicals and the whole right-wing movement is when it comes to when they're saying that when they blame African people for slavery. It's disgusting.